This entire piece is real moss, not felt, not plastic, actual moss. And it's been hanging on this wall for weeks without a single drop of water. It starts, weirdly enough, with me wandering around my own garden looking for moss. But before any of the actual building begins, I opened the outside tap and run a quick test on the hose and spray nozzle. Then the real build kicks off, the way most of my projects do. A dark board, a pencil and way too much measuring. I marked out the barker plate with a set square, then guide the track saw along a rail for clean, real angle cuts. For the frame I cut solid wood strips for the outer edges and spent longer than I would like to admit fine-tuning them. Once the shop is clean of shavings, I go back over the strips with a wire brush attachment on the cordless drill, just to rough up the grain and bring out some texture. Now it's time to track down a few old boards. While that's sorted, I will go ahead and glue them together to form the back panel. Weight it down and let it sit. Once it's dry, I cut it to the exact frame size. Attaching the texture strips onto the panel. For the little pedestals, I raised black platforms the moss sits around. I glue square wood spaces onto the board, edge band the black top plates with black veneer tape, and trim it flush with a utility knife. And suddenly this thing actually starts looking like something. Time to go back outside. Expect now I'm harvesting for real, pulling moss cushions straight out of the grass by hand and dropping them into the bucket. Back at the table it's cleanup duty. Picking out roots, dirt, tiny stones and stray leaves. Trimming the edges with scissors until what's left is just clean, usable moss. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Fresh moss dries out and turns brown and crumbly within days. So if you actually want it to last, you have to preserve it. I mix a bath of water and 85% glycerin and a bit of green acrylic paint. Then massage the moss through it by hand until it's fully soaked. After some time, I squeeze the moss out and lay it out on cardboard to pre-dry. Turns out one batch isn't nearly enough, so it's back outside for round 2. Then a much bigger glycerin bars to March. Once everything soaked through, I spread it out on a cooling rack to actually dry. Even after the glycerin bars, the colors come out a bit flat and uniform. Real moss is never one solid shade of green, so I laid it out on some cardboard and go over it with a light coat of green spray paint. Just enough shading to fake back the depth, the glycerin flatten it out. Final stretch. I spread a special glue named Overlit, an actual wallpaper glue, which works shockingly well for this, across the bare wood with a notched trowel. Then press the moss in piece by piece, packing it tight around the back pedestals so there are no gaps anywhere. And then finally up it goes. From every angle it just looks alive, even though it hasn't touched water in weeks. It's not perfect, a couple of patches dried a shade lighter than the rest, but I think it's the style of the picture. But for something built almost entirely out of scrap wood and moss out of my garden, it's just perfect. So if you like watching it come together, stick around and hit subscribe if you want to see where this goes next.